Mic check 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and everyone is talking about how expensive retro gaming is these days. But you do have options, and I kind of want to share some of those options with anyone who's still looking because there's a lot of different console and handheld options that people can get into. And if you only had $100 to spend, you can definitely do some damage with some of these consoles. So I want to talk about one in particular, the one that you're looking at here. I want to briefly discuss what it can do. I want to talk a little bit about how much you can expect to pay. And I also want to let you know like how easy it is to find these. So, and then after that, we're going to talk about some of the games that you can get that are super cheap and fun, right? So we're not just focusing on cheap, we're also focusing on really fun quality games. So first off, this is a Nintendo DS Lite. Many of you who follow the channel, you probably know that already because most of the folks who follow the channel are collectors. But this is just for the folks who either don't know that this console is out there, or maybe you know about a DS Lite, but you just kind of breeze past it like I'm not interested in that because maybe you don't realize how fun these can actually be. First of all, the battery life on these things is incredible. These things last a really long time. So that's part one. Part two, buying a DS Lite, you open yourself up not only to the DS library, but you also open yourself up to the Game Boy Advance library as well. So you can play two different libraries on this console, which is extremely important for the purposes of this video because it allows you to take advantage of some of the more inexpensive games that are available for both libraries, right? So you have that working in your favor. Now there are a number of other features with this. Obviously, you can adjust the brightness. It comes with a calendar. You know, a lot of these like little knick-knack features that come along with the DS Lite. But the big factor for me is the fact that you can play two different libraries on this console and the battery life. Now, price, right? That's what we're talking about. Pricing on these has fluctuated over the past 5 years. I want to say that for me personally, I don't think I've ever paid more than $35 for a DS Lite. And I've gone through multiple DS Lites because just back when I was really like hunting a lot, I would find DS Lites in the wild for as low as $2.50, literally. Like I would go to yard sales and buy like 3 DS Lites for like 10 bucks or 2 DS Lites for 10 bucks. Today, I would not spend more than $35 on a good condition DS Lite. Like this to me is good condition. It has one little nick on the end there, but outside of that, this is in actually pretty good shape. The screens aren't cracked or anything like that. There isn't really anything wrong with it. It works well. The screens are good. The hinges are perfectly fine, right? I wouldn't spend more than $35 on one. I honestly think that you can find them cheaper. I think that you could find these for 25 bucks with minimal like effort. I wouldn't get this from GameStop because now GameStop is selling more and more of these, and I've seen these go for like 55 bucks at GameStop. So this is something that you can find online, right? Everything that I'm going to show you today, by the way, you can find easily online, either at Mercari, eBay. You don't have to do a whole day of yard sale hunting. You don't have to do any of that nonsense. If you have $100 in your gaming budget for this month, you can just go online to eBay or Mercari and you can find these items at the prices near or around the prices that I'm giving you. You can find them. I'm not saying you're going to pull them up and you're going to see these prices right away, but you can find them with a little bit of digging. Maybe you can bid for them. Maybe you can throw out an offer. This is what I've seen, right? So pricing wise, this is a fairly inexpensive console for you to get into and get your hands on. So we're just going to start there. Now let's talk about the games, and I'm going to show you 3 games for the DS and 3 games for the Game Boy Advance that I think are just really good games. The first game that I'll talk about is Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. Now, the reason why this game is and has been so cheap is because it's been released on a large number of platforms. There's so many ways you can play this game, it's not even funny. However, most of the ports of this game are played in that like 3D format. However, when it comes to the DS, they adopted this 2D side-scrolling sprite-based platform that I think adds a completely different feel to the game, and in my opinion, makes it feel like a completely different game. Now, the cool thing about this is that you do get to utilize all of the special powers and abilities of the Jedi, right? You do get your lightsaber. You can use the Force push in this game, and I think you can level up in this game as well. But it's a beautiful game with a variation of levels and gameplay styles in here. As you can see, you've kind of got that first-person spaceship shooter level there, as well as the side-scrolling action on here. And I think that's what makes the DS very unique, because a lot of these games that get ported to a number of like consoles, once it hits the DS just puts its own spin on it, and it turns it into these really good-looking sprite-based games. So you might see Star Wars Episode 3 and think it's just another port of like the PS3 game or the PS2 game, but it's a completely different game. And I think that's why a lot of people just pass this up when they see it, because they assume that it's an attempt to put 3D graphics on the DS of a game that's like probably plays better on like a PS2 or something like that, when in fact this is actually a completely different game. So this is one that I highly recommend. This was a $9 game, like an $8 game. Slowly over the past couple years, it's been creeping up, and now it's hovering between like 15 and 20 bucks. So this one has gone up, but I think with a little bit of prodding and searching online, you should be able to find this game for around 16 bucks online, right? Because it's not, and even then, it's not a super expensive game. So Episode 3 is definitely one that I recommend. Another one that I recommend, and I've mentioned it plenty of times on my channel, is Thor: God of Thunder. This is another one of those games that was released on the Xbox 360, the PlayStation 3, and it has that 3D format. Now, even on the PS3 and the Xbox 360, it's still a good game. Like, it's still a decent game, I think. The 3D version of it is great. But again, this is just like Episode 3. Once Thor got to the DS, they took a completely different approach with this game, and they turned it into a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up game. Now, one of the things I love the most about how they did Thor is that they utilized both screens to give it this very large and open feel. As you can see, some of the bosses are pretty large in comparison to Thor. So it feels big, it feels bold, it's got bold and bright colors on it. Thor does have a number of attacks that he can use, including using Mjolnir as like a projectile weapon. He's got his lightning attacks. Very well done 2D beat 'em up game. This is a sleeper for sure. This is another game that was a $9-10 game and is now slowly creeping up. It's probably like, just much like Episode 3, it's probably a $15, maybe $20 game at this point. But even still, when you think about value, the value is definitely there, especially with Thor. I would say Thor more so than Episode 3, but they're both really great games that you can get for cheap. And even if you paid on the high end, right? Like even if you paid $20 for each game plus $30 for the DS Lite, you're still only talking about spending 75 bucks. So that's still not a bad package for 75 bucks. Now, just moving right along, you also have the Naruto games. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about Naruto in a second, but Naruto Shippuden, Naruto Sasuke opened me up to the world of Naruto. I slept on Naruto for a while, but this is actually a great series of side-scrolling beat-em-ups. Now, pretty much everything I'm showing you here is either a side-scrolling hack and slasher, a 2D hack and slasher, or a 2D beat-em-up. So if you're into that style of game, you'll really like these. There's plenty of other genres that have cheap games on the DS and Game Boy Advance, including puzzle games and RPGs, but I'm kind of just focusing on the games that I like. And also, I'm focusing on the side-scrolling beat-em-ups because those typically tend to be more expensive. That's just an expensive genre when you think about gameplay, right? Or games that get expensive on these consoles. Usually, like really good beat-em-ups, really good hack and slashers are just expensive, especially when you think about like the Castlevania games, like Aria of Sorrow. I'm trying to think of all the Castlevania games that came out on the DS and the Game Boy Advance. You got Aria of Sorrow, Circle of the Moon, something of Dissonance. I can't remember all of them right now, but the point of the matter is that those games can get very expensive. So with Naruto, you do get still a great gameplay experience. Obviously, it's a different story. It's the Naruto game. So if you're into Naruto, you're going to enjoy this even more. I never watched Naruto. I don't know what Naruto is about. But I know that the gameplay on this game is very good for the DS. And this, again, was like when I picked this up, it was like 17 or 18 bucks. This one has crept up over 20 bucks at this point. I think it's maybe like a $22 to $25 game. But even still, for roughly around 100 bucks, you could have a solid lineup, right, of DS games along with a console for 100 bucks. So in my opinion, that's a really good deal if you're just starting off with a console. Now, if you have another $25 to $30 to spare, you can pick up some of these Game Boy Advance games, starting with Shaman King. I was just talking about Castlevania, the Castlevania games. And to me, Shaman King is just an extension of those games. It's another game that was produced by Konami. And I think Shaman King plays a lot like the Castlevania games. The difference is that the sprites in this game are a lot bigger. The characters are bigger. They take up more of the screen. The animations, in my opinion, are a lot more crisp in Shaman King than Castlevania. Don't get me wrong, Castlevania is the GOAT, right? So the animations in that game are great. But the gameplay and the animations in Shaman King Master of Spirits are very, very good because he has different attacks that he uses that summon different spirits, and you know, the colors are bright, they're bold. I think the music in this game is very good. It's addicting. And the voice acting is pretty good in this too. So, I mean, Shaman King is great. The best part is that it's like an $11 game, $11 or $12 game. So very cheap, very fun. And then you've got two more Naruto games. Now, these are two games that I recently just picked up because I do want to get more into the Naruto series. But you've got Naruto Ninja Council and Ninja Council 2. Now, in my opinion, Ninja Council plays better than 2, but 2 looks better than 1. Wish they could have, like, fused these two, or, you know what I mean? But this one plays a lot better. This one looks a lot better. And then they just kind of continue to improve. Now, my goal is to get all of the Ninja Council beat-em-ups that I can, which means I need to get Ninja Council 3, which I think was, by the time it got to 3, I think it was the DS by the time it got to 3. Maybe it was still Game Boy Advance. You guys let me know. But I'm going to be looking for 3 and 4 here pretty soon to add those to my collection because these games are super cheap. I picked up both of these for I think like 18 bucks. So that's not bad at all from a pricing perspective. And I mean, if you think about it, for 130 bucks, you have a solid package of games. You got 3 Game Boy Advance games, 3 DS games, a console that has amazing battery life, and you can get a lot of gameplay out of this. So, I mean, I really just kind of wanted to share these because I know, like I said, a lot of people are price conscious, they're cost conscious. It feels like everything is expensive when it comes to retro, but there are definitely deals out there, and there are quality games that you can get for cheap. So let me know what you guys think about these games. Let me know if you've ever played any of these. Am I completely off? Are these games just horrible? Do they suck? Or do you think they're decent games to get started with? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.